is John Cole with GrowingYourGreens.com through another exciting episode for you. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a summer backyard garden tour of my desert garden. Now, you know, both my neighbors on both sides, they're not growing anything in their backyard. And matter of fact, you know, most people in Vegas on the streets, actually I'll make a video one of these days doing this, interviewing people. Hey, can you grow food in Vegas? I bet you 9 out of 10 people would say, no, it's too hot. And most people think you can't grow food in Las Vegas, or you know, and this is completely false. You could easily grow food if you do it the right way, and that's what I want to share with you guys today. Just a tour of my backyard in the middle of the summer. Now, you know, this has been a fairly warm summer. Most of the last 30 days, if not 45 days, have been over 100 degrees on average, and some days peaked out at over 110 degrees here. But yet my garden is still doing quite well. Now, I'm not going to say my garden's perfect, you know, or that my shit doesn't stink, because it does sometimes, depending on what I eat. But, you know, I've also had some challenges with my garden this year. I'm going to share that to you guys also, you know. I mean, I'm just learning as I grow. This is only my, you know, about third, fourth year growing solid in Las Vegas in the heat of the summer, and it can be challenging. And likewise, wherever you guys live, it may be challenging for one reason or another. But I don't want that to stop you guys from growing, even if there are some challenges, because challenges are an adversity that you can overcome, like I'm doing here. And the worst thing that happens is your plants don't grow, and then you're going to pull them out and replant some. So I have a few areas actually where I'm going to do that, because I'm just experimenting, you know, like I do every year. And I want to always encourage you guys to experiment with different growing practices and growing different things. So in any case, without further ado, let's go ahead and take you guys inside my luscious backyard garden. And this video is gonna be cool because we're just gonna go ahead and just keep the camera running and just do a complete walkthrough to show you guys what exactly it looks like. Alright, so as we walk into the garden, probably the only thing that's not edible is this right here. It's an oleander tree that I chopped mostly down, and then I got lazy and didn't chop it down all the way, and it came back. But at least it's mostly chopped down. But everything else you guys see on both sides of me is edible. These are my wall of 40-foot long of cucumbers. And some of them are having challenges and some are not. I mean, here's a nice, you know, almost 3-foot long Armenian cucumber. This is the #1 variety that's performed well for me this year. And then I also have a lot of Japanese cucumbers. And in the heat, the Japanese cucumbers turn yellow really fast, but they're still all right to eat. Generally, I'll peel them, and they're actually quite sweet to eat. And normally, I'll be juicing a lot of them. And then I built this trellis here from these trellis panels from Better Built Products, and they're basically just upright trellises meant for like potted plants, like in smart pots, to make like a little square you know, trellis. Would work good for tomatoes or other herbaceous crops that you guys might grow. But I just use these to basically grow up and grow over my walkway. And this wasn't really even supposed to be here. It all happened because it happened. And what happened was, this is my pepper bed. As you guys can see, I have lots and lots of peppers growing in there. I have a few tomato plants growing out of my peppers that I trellised up or staked up on stakes. And then I actually had one rogue cucumber plant just come up as a volunteer over here. And it made these nice, long, striped Armenian cucumbers. Another one of my favorite cucumbers. I find, though, that these sometimes get kind of bitter on them. So when that happens, I usually just cut off the ends and peel it, and then it's all right to eat. But this was a volunteer plant. It was doing amazingly well. So I'm like, well, I don't want to just cut it out. I want to get it out of the way so my peppers could grow and that it could grow. So I made this trellis going up and then over the top. And now it's just growing lots of cucumbers for me, and it's just up and out of the way. Likewise, on this side, this wall was just a wall of cucumbers. About every 3 inches, I planted a cucumber plant. And then I had some volunteer tomatoes come up. So then I put more of this trellis paneling up. And you guys can see now I have all these beautiful tomatoes, you know, ready for me to eat without me even planting them. And you know, I've really come to embrace some of my volunteer plants, especially here in the desert, because if something comes up and it wants to grow, you know, I just let it go, because those are the plants that actually do better. You know, my tomatoes that were volunteers are doing far better than my tomatoes that I transplanted. And so yeah, this is the cucumber wall. Some of the old growth kind of got jacked up because of the heat, and then I had a spider mite infestation, as you guys previously saw. and then the new growth is coming back and it's doing all right. So I got a whole wall of cucumbers. And you know, I want to let you guys know that I planted like every 3 inches. So I've actually pulled a lot of plants out because a lot of them didn't make it. I think mostly the ones that didn't make it were like some of the lemon cucumbers. Like I got like maybe 1 lemon cucumber this year, so they really didn't perform well in the desert for me. Plus, I believe this is the side where my irrigation system is not functioning properly, so some of my plants, especially near the end of this bed, that's where it's really dried out because the water is spraying down instead of straight across. That's a problem of the aqua jet that was installed. In addition, I planted some zucchini plants to come out, and they've really vined out a lot. They produce really good in the early season, but once now that it's gotten really hot, over 100 degrees, they're not really producing for me well. And then going over to my last bed here, you guys can see this bed is just pretty much all tomatoes and some weeds or things I didn't grow. Oh, and this one's actually quite interesting. This is a weed, but it's not a weed. I didn't plant this here. It just actually came up on its own. I'm actually quite happy that it did because I just now noticed it. And this is called the leaf ginseng, and it just came up on its own. I grew it on the other side of the yard, so I don't know, maybe some seeds got distributed. But this is another amazing leafy green for the summertime, and I didn't even plant it here. But what I did plant here was a whole bunch of tomatoes, and as you guys see, I have a lot of tomatoes. But the problem is, I also have a lot of, I'm having some insect pressures, some pest pressures. So this bed got hit with some spider mites early, and this is the damage that you guys might see. And a lot of the new growth is totally fine. It's still actually flowering and producing more fruit. But some of the old leaves are really jacked up. In addition, I have had some problems this year with the tomato hornworms. I haven't been using any BT, which can be organic. I've been just using manual control, so sometimes I don't get them in time. And this is compounded by the fact that I've actually been traveling a little bit too much, so I'm not here to maintain and pick off the hornworms every day. So like they've been decimating some of my plants, and you'll see some damage in a little bit. And then also, like, this thing just came up wild here. It's like a tomatillo, came up wild. And then also in my tomato bed, I have a couple cucumbers that are growing wild. Let's go ahead and now do bed to bed. And this bed right here, you can see through the trellis. Basically, this is a late planted bed. This was planted out in over 100-degree weather, but I was successful at doing that. And we got the okra here, and the okra is doing quite well over here, as well as some pepper plants. Although the last pepper actually got hit by freaking scumbag tomato hornworm. You can see it totally defoliated the leaves and eats all the tips out. So that really kind of blows, because that plant's probably garner. So yeah, I planted all the okra in here, which is doing good for the heat, and the peppers are doing good. And then along the back row there, I planted some Malabar spinach. You guys can see that's actually growing quite nicely. It's a purple Malabar. It has the purple, stems and the green leaves. And then I also planted some chayote squash vines in the middle. That's actually kind of doing all right. I planted that from the fruit itself. And then I have more Malabar spinach that's really doing well. And then at the end I have a tomato that was a volunteer that's kind of scraggly. And actually it looks like it's getting hit by the tomato hornworms. So that's why it's really not doing too good right now. So this bed's doing all right. Let's go ahead and get into this bed. This is another pepper bed. I started getting these cucumber or melon vines growing out of it. So like my goal was to actually get the vine and to basically use some bamboo stakes to grow them up, and then grow them up and then get them on top of my roof there. So because I've been traveling, I haven't been able to get it fully up to the roof, but I'm almost there. I'm gonna trim some of this back because I don't want the cucumber vines to shade out my peppers because I want full pepper production, but I would like them to grow. So my goal is if I get the vine started and get the tip of the vine all the way up to the top of my structure, they'll just grow up there and make a lot of fruit for me. So this has already been very productive even as it is. Check it out. Here's like a nice melon, and I don't even know what kind of melon this is. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a good melon, and it's not going to get harvested until it's ripe. So one of these is a melon vine, and then if we look over here, one of them is a Armenian cucumber vine that I have, growing right here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I've already had like at least a half dozen Armenian cucumbers off this plant, and this was a volunteer. So yeah, one of the things I'm learning growing in the desert and extreme climates is if you got volunteers, nurture them, right? Because those are the ones that want to come up, those are the strongest, and they're planted in their place that they want to be, and they're going to be a lot healthier than the transplants that have gone through transplant shock and whatnot. So yeah, this my cucumber, because it is now in the monsoon season. It's been raining in the middle of the day sometimes in the summer, and I've gotten some PM or powdery mildew that I'm gonna have to deal with really soon. Let's go ahead and continue on and show you guys a tour. So going back over here, we'll go to my first bed here, and this is basically my perennial bed over here, and this is called the Okra or the Canna Adalis, that makes the edible tubers on the bottom that can be eaten raw or cooked, also known as the arrowroot. So it's a starchy vegetable. And then next we have some dinosaur kale. It's doing quite nicely over here. And as we squeeze through, you'll see I have a whole bunch of the ashataba that just basically fills a nice canopy. And that's all doing really good. I have some other perennial herbs in here that I forget the names of at present time. And then we got these guys right here. This is actually known as the water pepper. So this is another really successful crop I've had. This actually just I bought one plant last year. It went to seed. It dropped seeds in this bed, and then it just sprouted up everywhere. And this stuff, I mean, maybe I'll eat a little bit for you guys. It's kind of crazy. This is known as water pepper. And if you like hot peppers, you're going to love water pepper, because the water pepper, wow. I'm eating it right now. The tip of my tongue, where it's like I've been into it, it's like hot and spicy, but it's not like the same capsicum hot. It's kind of more of an intense hot heat. I mean, I bet I could probably make some badass like hot sauce with this, because I just used one small leaf. Right now, my mouth is on fire. Woo. But yeah, this really grows well in the desert. I mean, it's almost a weed. Look at all this stuff. So I actually had to put some bamboo stakes up and some string to keep it back. Oh, and check this out. This is cool. So this guy trying to peek up out of everything. This is actually my turmeric plant. So this is making the edible turmeric root, which is the #1 anti-inflammatory root in there. And once again, I planted this last year once, and I didn't harvest it at the end of the season. It stayed alive underneath the ground, and then come the new season, it's totally come back. So yeah, that's my first bed. Pretty much all perennials with mostly ashataba, the water pepper, my Okra. And then here's all my pepper bed right here. This is supposed to be all peppers, and I should have got on it earlier, but started staking everything up early. I still haven't learned my lesson. Some of it got staked really late. And then these guys, this volunteer tomato that came up. So to get it out of the way of the peppers, I've just staked it up, 6 foot tall bamboo stake. I've single stemmed it all the way up until it gets to the top where it's nice and bushy. And I think I caught another hornworm up there the other day. Some of it got eaten back. But yeah, I have lots of tomatoes, and this is probably one of my most productive tomato plants. You know, it's just one that was a volunteer. So yeah, I got lots of peppers, and not all my peppers made it, you know. I mean, here's a pepper plant that just didn't make it too far. It made a lot of peppers, and then it dried out. I think that's because, the aquajet system at the ends, it struggles. It has problems getting the water out, and it's a little bit too deep, and the roots never got deep enough to water. I mean, I probably had about 3-4 plants in this bed that didn't produce well, and they're at the edges, right? So you gotta be careful and be aware of that, and make sure you install the aquajet properly, because I'm still having challenges with it. Next, we're gonna show you guys, I got 2 of the self-watering containers that have been working pretty good here. Planted 2 patio tomatoes in there, and also had challenges with the spider mites on these patio tomatoes early season, and now they're coming out of it. And basically just the new growth is surviving and doing quite well. The old growth I've basically been pulling off. And these aren't really productive for me right now, but I hope as the weather cools down pretty soon, it'll actually get productive again and make more tomatoes. In addition, below it, I got things like just some onions growing, and I got some lamb's quarters growing over here. I guess next I want to show you guys a couple pots. Now, those are self-watering pots there, and then these guys are not. So these guys need water like twice a day. And these are my sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes. They've been growing well. This plant is probably like over 6 feet tall now. But these guys dry out so fast being in containers. So I'm out here watering, you know, in the morning and the evening for them so that they don't dry out completely. And they've had some challenges too, but overall they're doing pretty good. Next we got a tomato that came up, and it's a cherry tomato. And the cherry tomatoes do the best here in the desert. The problem was with this cherry tomato, I caught like 2 hornworms on it. I caught one day, and then the next day there's another one. So you can see like all the leaves got decimated. So the plant's not looking too healthy. Hopefully it comes back. Oh, and this guy right here, this guy's really cool. This is a loofah gourd. So the loofah gourd is growing, and my goal is to get it up on top of my my roof, and then just let it grow up there and make lots of loofah gourds for me. So that makes the sponge. I have these little raised planters here that have my 1-gallon pots. It's all in irrigation, which is just a lot of different random plants. And now we're gonna go ahead and walk into my greenhouse. I have some potted plants here, and in my greenhouse, you know, I caught actually another tomato hornworm eating my Manzano peppers today. So it like took out this plant, totally defoliated it. It's got some new growth here, and this plant took off all the leaves and ate it. So that guy didn't make it. He was executed. So then in here I got a lot of plants that I never just got planted out, so they're kind of cooler in here and hanging out in here. And these are some small 4-inchers that I've been nursing. I want to try to move these up into 1 gallon so they have a better chance of surviving. But they're doing all right. I'll probably use these to replace some of the peppers, you know, that just didn't make it in some of the beds when I get some time, as well as some different herbs. All right, so that's one greenhouse I've set up, and now I want to show you guys my new greenhouse that I just set up here. And this greenhouse is doing better. I got these plants, and these are the green tree collards that I started from cuttings. They're, you know, pushing 5-6 feet tall. And then over on this side I have more green tree collards, plus some ashtabin, some 1 gallons, and some moringa tree, and some pineapples, and a date palm. And then also on this side I have the Janera procumbens here that are growing quite well. And these were just growing wild in my old greenhouse, and now they're in here and they're doing well. And let's go ahead and show you guys the other side of my yard that's actually on a drip irrigation. So now we're on my other side of the yard, and this is the side where I have 4-foot circular round raised beds that are about 8 inches tall. The other side has the concrete beds that are 4 feet wide by about 16 feet or 8 feet long. I kind of prefer the other side because it works a little bit better. So the plants over here aren't quite growing as luscious, plus I have a different soil mix over there. So let me go ahead and show you guys this. And here I got a bed of peppers. They're you know, not quite as tall as my other ones, but they're doing pretty good. And then this last bed is kind of more of a mixed summer bed. I got some arugula that I'm saving the seeds on. Of course I got the stevia that's growing really well. I got some holy basil here. And let's see, I got some green beans that are I think producing here pretty good. They're just not doing super good, but it's cool to be growing green beans in the heat. I kind of have them in a shady spot. I think that's my first Las Vegas grown green bean in the summer. And I have my ruby frills basil, and then I got the Janera procumbens. They're doing quite good. And that's this bed. And then if we go over this other bed, this is another cool mixed bed here. Up the back we got the Malabar spinach. It's growing really nicely. I'm going to expand the trellis probably tomorrow. And then these tall guys here, they're like pushing 5 feet almost. This is actually known as the popolo. And this is what the Mexicans used to use instead of cilantro for things like guacamole before there was cilantro. It's an incredible plant that grows really good in the heat. And right now I'm getting a whiffs of my epazote, Mexican pot herb, that's right below. This came up as a weed, and I'm letting it go to seed. Some people say it tastes like gasoline, but actually I like the flavor of it. It's good to put into beans to prevent your flatulence. And then over here we have the roselle, which is edible hibiscus leaves, and they're nice purple leaves. They have a mildly lemon flavor. They're quite good. They've actually done quite well in the desert heat. And if we look down below, I have two kinds of spilanthes growing. This is one kind on one side and the other kind's on the other side. I think I have like lemon drop and the standard one. Spilanthes are cool because you can just eat the flower buds, and it's you know, known as a toothache plant. So it won't get rid of your toothache, but when you eat one of these flower buds, it sucks all the saliva out of your mouth, and you'll at least temporarily forget about your toothache for a little while. Let's see, onto this bed. This is my okra bed, and this is actually doing quite well. I have lots of okras that I've been harvesting out of this bed. It's a red burgundy okra here mostly, with some greens in there. Let's go ahead and continue on this tour. So now in this bed we got more peppers, and then I've actually had some rogue stinging nettles just come in as a weed, but I kind of just let it grow because I'll come out and harvest it and use it in my smoothies and my juices. In addition, we got some more epazote there. This next bed here just has the eggplants, and as you guys can see, the eggplants are doing beautifully. You know, the eggplants, and this is a little boy eggplant. You can tell by the little bottom, it's a circle, it's a boy. If it's like kind of long, like a slit on a girl, then it's a girl eggplant. Eggplant, #1 crop you want to grow in the desert. It does really well, you know, without much care. Second best fruiting crop is the peppers. That's why I'm growing, you know, some eggplant, because I like eggplant a little bit, but I like peppers a lot more. And then also between my 4-foot beds, I have little pots that I have on the drip system, and these are growing some nice true wild dandelion greens. Most dandelion greens you buy in the store would be actually chicory, not dandelion. So both these actually have the dandelion. They're really hardy. And then this next bed here, we got the Egyptian walking onions growing pretty good. And then above that we have my yacon root vegetable. And then over in this bed, it's like a perennial style bed, so it's got my green tree collards that are having some challenges in the middle of the summer, but they're still alive, and when it cools down, then they'll start to explode with growth. And down below I have a whole bunch of different kinds of crops growing, including parsley, some onions, and some cucumbers start to grow in there, wild, and yeah, some Swiss chard. Let's go ahead and keep going through my maze of a backyard. This next bed has all tomatoes, and you know, the plants look actually fairly decent, and the cherry tomatoes have been doing the good. You know, over 100 degrees, larger size tomatoes don't really produce well because they don't really flower. The plant just shuts down and just tries to stay alive. But even over 100 degrees, you guys can see this tomato plant has tons of flowers on it, which means there's gonna be more fruit. And check it out. Here's a freaking little sucker, man, that's been getting me. These are the guys are the tomato hornworms, and these guys, he's biting me. These are the guys that have really been messing me up this season, so I try to just find them and pick them off whenever I can. So yeah, the hornworms have been getting me, plus the spider mites got me early season, but now they've rebounded because I did release the spider mite predators, and now my plants are actually in really good shape, except for the hornworms. So let's go ahead and continue on. This bed was kind of messed up. I left it empty, and then I planted a late planting of the okra, which it didn't really make it. Some of the plants are kind of hanging in there, but it really wasn't too good. I think the transplants were too small, and plus I planted in the middle of the heat, and I didn't protect it as good, and plus maybe I didn't have the watering quite right. This next bed's doing really well. It's my dinosaur kale bed, and this will grow for, you know, a full year, through the winter, through the summer, through it all. Have lots of dinosaur kale all year long. But this pot here has some zucchini growing, and I think I saw some babies starting to grow in there somewhere. And then this bed has a whole bunch of peppers growing with you know, a rogue cherry tomato. And then let's see, over here I got this stuff. Let's see, forget the name of this stuff, but it's edible. It's like pennywort or something. And then a tree collard decided to come up out of this, so this is kind of like, I put this in because my hose thing used to drip water a little bit, and I figured I'd put some plants under there so it could be used to grow something. But now I fixed the drip, so now I just run some drip emitters to it. This next bed behind me is doing really well. It's got a lot of mint on the bottom, and this is another perennial bed with tree collards up top. And check this out, man. Look at these. I don't know if you guys could see that, but over here I got these plants, and if you guys look at all these little berries on here. all these little berries, those are called goji berries. So I planted this goji berry plant and pretty much just ignored it. And now I have all these little fresh goji berries to eat right out of the garden. I'll go ahead and pick one there. So there's one little goji berry. Or actually, this is known as a wolfberry. Not bad. They're actually related to tomatoes. And actually, one of the things I learned about a while back is that you could eat the little small goji berry sprouts, and they're very nutritious. Let's go ahead and continue on this tour. So now this is another bed where I actually had I put in a trellis panel. And I'm growing these guys up it. Oh, and man, those guys, they need some water actually. I need to water them. But these guys are known as my bitter melon. And this is the bitter melon fruits they are growing. And in the middle, I got some Mexican sour gherkin cucumbers growing that look like little watermelons. And then here I have some of the popolo. Oh, and I forgot to show you guys in the back, I actually had a Brazilian popolo, which is actually, I like that better, the flavor better than the standard Mexican popolo here. As well as I got some basil, and I got more of the edible hibiscus, and I got some of the shiso here that's doing quite well. And then I got two kinds of shiso right there. And then back over here behind me here, I have a whole bed of the basil. I had a video on this. But now this guy's just doing really well. It's one of my beds that's filled out the most. I have just basil for days. I've grown over, 16 varieties of basil this year. And then over on this side here is my tomato plants. That actually, this bed is having some challenges. It's got hit with the spider mites and then the hornworms. This bed has mostly peppers in it. Got hit by hornworms, and then also has my purple tree collards. And curiously enough, my purple tree collards are doing better in the summertime than my green tree collards are. And then finally, last couple beds we got here. This is my bed with my green tree collards, has a purple tree collards, and then also like my Malabar spinach. It also has some Mexican tarragon. It also has my root beer plant that I use the leaves on. You can eat the leaves. They use them for wrapping things. And then also it has just some other like random celery and some like Alexander flowers in there. Then coming up on the last two beds, getting kind of dark, we got another perennial bed. That's the big bag bed, that's fabric bed that I didn't really like overall too much. It's kind of breaking down now. And it's got herbs such as the rosemary that I can't get rid of. And it's got some bee balm in here. And also some sage. It keeps coming back. And then finally my last bed here, another perennial style bed. We got some Chinese medicinal herbs in here, and then the Janera procumbens that overwintered from last year. And then we got this guy right here, my Dick Picotees variegated kale. That's a perennial, and this one's doing quite well. I mean, I think that's pretty much the end of my tour. It's almost dark. I actually got to go in and eat dinner. And, I mean, most of my things are doing well. Some of my plants have gotten hit. But the main thing is I want to share with you guys you want to be resilient. So how can you be resilient when you're planting a garden? Well, as you guys could see, I planted a lot of different varieties of things. I didn't just plant all tomatoes, and I'm growing all tomatoes. I have a genetic diversity. I have different varieties of tomatoes. I probably have over 2 different varieties of tomatoes, including all my different volunteers. I have, about a half dozen varieties of different peppers, maybe even a dozen. I have 16 varieties of basil, and there's like one kind that actually didn't make it, but all the rest did. I have different kinds of shiso, and I have different kinds of plants. I have all the different range, so I could come out here any day to pick herbs for, flavoring meals, or I could come out and pick cucumbers any day of the summertime. I got leafy greens in just multiple places, and I'm growing the same plants in different places. Some of my favorite ones, like the Janera procumbens, I have those in the greenhouse, those outside here, those over here, in different areas, so I'm always going to have some food to eat. So my top tips for growing in the desert: number 1, set up an irrigation system. Number 2, get very good soil. Number 3, I do still like the Aqua Jet system for irrigation, but you need to make sure it's installed properly, because that actually side is performing better than my drip irrigation side, but you want to get a proper irrigation timer that can control to the second. I mean, other than that, you may get some pest pressures and then you could deal with them as you come up, but I want to remind you guys that the healthier your plants are, the more nutrients you can get into the soil, the healthier and the stronger immune systems your plant will have to defend themselves against the pests, so that you don't have to go out there and spray them down and all this kind of stuff. So that's why I recommend things like the rock dust, the Worm Gold Plus worm castings, compost teas, you know, and just standard compost, you know, so you could build a good soil mixture so you could have the healthiest plants. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tour of my summer garden. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up to let me know. I'll be sure to do more tours in the future for every season, so that you guys know exactly what I'm growing. Also, be sure to check my past episodes. I have over 1,050 episodes now on all aspects of gardening. And be sure to hit the subscribe button so you're notified of my new and upcoming videos, because you never know what kind of video I'm going to you know, show you guys and what you're going to learn. And hopefully have some fun too while you're at it. Anyways, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Today we're coming at you from my front yard garden, and today what we're doing is actually we're harvesting this guy right here. And if you look closely, you'll see some fruits. I don't know how close the camera can get up on it. There's some back here. Now you're gonna see mostly the green fruits and some of the ones